Hello and welcome to Roportaj. This is Danish bin Nabi. In today's segment of Roportaj, I am joined by Mr. Tarun Gulati. Mr. Gulati is running for the mayorship of London in coming 2024. Will he be able to motivate the Londoners to vote for him? And what are his chances of the winning the mayorship of London? Are two critical questions that I am going to raise with Mr. Gulati. Mr. Gulati, welcome to Roportaj. Explain to the viewers one thing. You are running in May 2024, you are running for the mayorship of London. But you announced you are contesting for the elections from Hyderabad. Why was it so?
That's a very good question. Thank you. As you may be aware, I was born in India and spent a good part of my growing up period and working in India. And my family has a background seeped in India over 3 centuries. In public service. So my father was a Secretary Government of India. My grandfather, again, was a top civil servant. And on my maternal grandfather's side, we founded banks like we co-founded Punjab National Bank and several other industries. So there is a affinity. This is my Janam Bhumi, where I grew up. And if I might say, my Karam Bhumi is in the UK, in the Britain. So I started here.
So you felt it more appropriate to announce your candidacy from India rather than London?
Most certainly. This is where my heart belongs, everything belongs. And there are 1.4 billion Indians. I'm an independent candidate. I need all the support I can to muster from my own countrymen, my own family, where I grew up.
Mr. Gulati, explain to me something. While researching a bit about you, you have been consistently taking everyone along. As you know, London is a metropolitan city. All types of religions and castes live there. All types of languages are spoken there. But you have been consistently in your press releases saying that you are a proud Hindu. While at the very same side, at the same end, you say that you are there to take everyone along. Why do you feel it necessary repeatedly saying this that you are a proud Hindu? Don't you think mixing religion with politics would have its repercussions?
Not at all. Being a Christian or a Muslim or a Jewish, carrying any faith does not matter. I have also repeatedly been saying that I believe in Vasudeva Kutumbakam, which means one world, one family. You'll be surprised to know I had a wonderful meeting with the Shai Imam at his residence yesterday. So I spent 1.5 hours with him. So it's when I say that I mean I want to be for all the Londoners, I'm there for all the Londoners because there are Muslim brothers there. There are people from Romania. They're Polish. I mean, there are 300. You alluded to the languages. There are 300 plus languages spoken in London. So, while if I may start from here, my being a Hindu has nothing to do with my what I do for the people of London. It just happens to be that I was born in I could have been born in your family or any other family. My efforts to do good for London would remain the same.
Mr. Gulati, if I have stood you correctly, you are a Hindu, which is your faith, which is your religion, and you believe on Hinduism, which is good. But at the same time, you are telling the Indians that you are taking every religion along with you. And there would not be any discrimination based either on religion, caste, creed, or sex.
I'm not only telling all Indians that there'll be no discrimination where it comes to caste, creed, sex, or color. I'm telling all Londoners there'll be no discrimination. I'm there for all Londoners, irrespective of where they come from. As I alluded to, London is a mix of people from different parts of the world. There'll be no discrimination.
Mr. Gulati, point well taken. Explain to me the composure of the London. What is the percentage of Indians in London?
I would think there are about 9.5 to between, depending on what numbers you go by, the last census, between 9.5 to about 10 million Londoners. And Indians would constitute only about 4 or 5%. Indian diaspora would constitute only 4 or 5% of that number. So whilst my desire was to kickstart my campaign from India, my constituents there come from other parts of the world. I have a groundswell support from different communities, and that is why I'm confident that I'll be the next London mayor.
Which is your more pocket vote bank pocket of your in the London? Which community, I mean to ask?
To be very candid, is across communities. I've been living in London for the last 20 years, and I've built businesses, helped businesses internationally. So whilst there is indeed a desire and hope that I'll get all the Indian votes, but there are Bangladeshis, there are Sri Lankans, there are Romanians, there are Pakistanis, there are Lithuanians, Latvians, Estonians, you name it. And London, I deal with all of them for business. So there is no real pocket. I want the 60% of the voters that did not come out to vote last time. Only less than 40% of the people came out to vote. I want those voters to come out for me.
And you believe that across board, they are going to vote for your vision?
100%, because there is the current incumbent, Mr. Sadiq Khan, who I'm sure, like any other good mayor, has done a great job.
I will come to Sadiq Khan a bit later. Explain me this. You expect that across board they are going to vote for you?
Yes, 100%. I'm in touch with lots of people. I have a certain strategy that I'm working on, and that strategy included coming to India first. So that strategy, if we were to have the same conversation in a month's time, the position will be a lot different.
So your India visit basically is for gaining the sympathies, I mean to say the votes, that indirectly the sympathies, so that you can win as an independent candidate.
I wouldn't use the word sympathy, as I alluded to earlier. This is my Janam Bhumi. I spend a lot of time here. I have a lot of people I know here. I do a lot of work in India. I'm also the co-chair, co-founder of India's largest startup foundation, where the venue was inaugurated by Honorable Prime Minister Shri Modi ji. So there were 10,000 odd participants, startups, and the ecosystem from 11 countries. So because I have a team working from India, coincidentally from Hyderabad, that brought me here. I'm, of course, meeting some of the key decision makers and the key influencers in India, which will help me kickstart my campaign back home in London.
You have not started your campaign as of now?
No, the campaign has already started. I have a team there. There are already people talking about me. There are people talking to me. I'm talking to the key stakeholders there. But physically going around to the 32 boroughs in London, I have personally not started that. I intend to do that in about a fortnight's time.
Mr. Gulati, a most important question. Why should Londoners vote for you? What's your vision for the London?
Well, if you look back at London, I was holding a top job in the world when I walked out of it and decided to make London my home. Since then, there has been a lot of, if you will, geopolitics has changed. Firstly, in 2008, 2009, there was a financial crisis. London, as you know, is a big financial center. It affected London. Then we had Brexit. So we moved out of the European Union. And so that has impacted trade and trade balances and impacted businesses. Then we had COVID, unfortunately, which impacted the lives and well-being, and cost of livings have soared. Interest rates are high as we speak. There's a war ongoing in Europe, not too far from where London is. And we know we have a strife now in the Middle East. So the geopolitics has changed. People they've lost their mojo, they've lost their smiles. They don't know whether to eat or to eat. So businesses are suffering. I've realized that freedom of movement is affected because the current incumbent mayor has introduced certain policies that are affecting and costing people. So I want to bring about transformational change, making sure my leveling up agenda uplifts all and everyone in London.
And what is that punchline with which you can lure the voters?
I stand for trust and growth. People know me over the decades. They've trusted me as a banker, as a financial services person, as an individual, as a human being. So they trust me. When they meet with me, there's trust automatically develops. It's some people have that, many people don't have that. And I believe growth. So when I say growth, it's growth for everybody, the low income, middle income, and everybody who has and doesn't have it.
TG, does it stand for Tarun Gulati or trust and growth?
I think now you can call it synonymous because I was born with that name. My parents gave me that name, but over the years, my personal brand has been trust, and I've grown businesses. So I've decided to make sure that I stand for the same alphabets as my name stands for.
Point well taken. Point well taken, Mr. Gulati. Explain to me what's your stand on the free trade agreement between India and UK.
I think, look, as you'd agree, the free trade agreement is, I think, at its last leg. And usually there is a scramble for a lot of decision making towards the end, and which is the hardest part. I think we're very close to signing one, and several chapters and several meetings have been held. I think both countries will look for doing good. I mean, India is one of the largest trading partners with the UK. The Indian businesses are some of the largest employers in the UK. The Tata Group is one of the largest employers, if you know what I mean, and other businesses are thriving there. So, given there's a living bridge and there's a good past, I want to build on that good past. So I want to make sure that we can take benefit of the free trade agreement. And given that I also happen to be the longest standing committee member for the Asianist business for the London Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and a former deputy chair, I believe I can take advantage of that for Londoners and make sure there's a good element of business flow from both sides. So there'll be a win-win for all, and indeed London will benefit and Londoners.
Mr. Gulati, from a completely Indian point of view, there has been a lot of hassle as far as the visa for the Indians are concerned. Indians in general, and Indian students as particularly. Explain to me, what would you do to make this visa process a hassle-free thing for the Indian students especially?
I think it's a very good question. I believe a lot in the next generation, particularly students. I think the Indian students are the only students as we speak who've got the benefit of coming there, studying and spending 2 years there. I would encourage whichever government, we have a national election next year, and whilst I would hope that the current Prime Minister remains in power, Mr. Sunak, but whosoever is the government in power on the day, I would encourage them that Indians contribute wherever they go, more than what they take. They give more to the country, and I'm sure the government would understand, and we can ease the laws and build on the current momentum that has been with the Indians coming in. We will build on that. And it's not only the students. We want to encourage all sorts of individuals who add value to the UK and indeed London.
And is there a team? Have you built any team to look upon this visa issue?
No. I don't have a team particularly looking at the visa issue, but this is a key aspect. And I'm pretty certain that this is one key plank strategy that I would look at, because students are very close to my heart. As I said, I deal and mentor students all the while. I'm speaking to them, and they voice the same thought processes and concerns as you have, and I will build on that. And so I don't have a team in place, but I will have at least
you are
this agenda
building you
on the top.
are you are building a team to get all these student issues addressed.
Not only student issues, I have a manifesto and a policy framework ready that I can hit the ground running as a mayor. And when I announce, I've mentioned some of these policies, but when I announce the manifesto, the student upliftment is a key part of it, because we can't do anything if we don't take students along with us, because they're the next generation, they're the future. And indeed, Indian students add a lot of value.
Mr. Gulati, my last question before we end up this intriguing interview. Explain to me, how do you view Sadiq Khan's tenure as a mayor? Has he added any value to the London?
I would say he has indeed added value. I mean, he spent lot of time, but he's also taken value away from London. So I can explain that in many different ways. For instance, currently he's introduced what is known as the ultra low emission zone, which is the ULEZ. What that basically means is, if you're driving a vehicle that is, whether diesel or petrol, registered on or after a certain date, you are then paying £12.50 to enter certain zones in London. Now, there is also an existing congestion charge where if you enter that area, particularly in central London, you pay £15. Now, you can imagine a business or a family that wants to enter London. They're already out of the pocket. On the one hand, you have a cost of living crisis. On the other hand, you have this matter. In fact, the report suggests already 52 million has come in from the extension alone since this has been introduced. I will abolish ULEZ on day one. I believe the freedom of movement is as important as the freedom of speech. Mr. Khan has introduced congestion charge as extended on what was happening with the previous mayor when Boris Johnson was there. I want to make sure over weekends and holidays, people can move in those areas and enjoy some parts of London where they don't have to pay congestion charge. Buses, there are older citizens in London, particularly a lot of older women who use the buses very often. Buses have been scrapped, bus routes have been changed, bus stops have been removed. I want to bring those back. Security is a big, big, big issue. Mr. Khan has taken his eye off the ball that security is concerned. I don't see visible policing anymore. What gets measured gets done, I would know, in business. But where it comes to security and safety, I don't see that. I want to introduce more police people on the ground, more police stations also.
In India, I few more questions before I wind up this. In India, we see a lot of promises made during the election campaigns by the political parties, various political leaders, and we know they do not obviously adhere to these promises. You are again making, being an Indian, you are making a promise that on the very first day you are going to abolish this traffic thing there, right? Would you adhere by what you are saying?
I can answer that very, very quickly and carefully. There are, as I alluded to, about over 9.5 million individuals residing in London. I'm one person who's standing as an independent. Maybe one other might stand. What does that mean? I'm putting all my 40 odd years of hard work in the world of finance at risk. I have not failed there. I've built businesses, market beating businesses. I would not fail the Londoners. It's not a promise. I'm not a politician. I'm a human being who works from the heart first. I'm going to make sure this is my promise to all Londoners to take my word. This is not just a promise. This is what I will fulfill for them.
This is not a promise, but you are going to fulfill this.
Yes, it's not just a word. It's not a sentence. I'm going to fulfill whatever I say. In other words, I'm listening to the people, and based on input that I'm getting, I will deliver what I promised.
My last question. Explain to me first and to the viewers, why are we seeing that South Asians are taking a lead in politics of UK? We see the Prime Minister is an Indian, the Mayor is an Pakistani, now you are running again for a mayor. How has this basically changed the politics of Britain?
I think the old order changed it, as a particular poet said. So I think Indians and Asians are hardworking, perhaps, and whenever we go overseas, we have created value. A lot of South Asians, I would say that for other people also who have moved into the UK and other parts of the world, we have created value. We worked hard, and particularly in UK, it's the land where there are a lot of opportunities for people. It creates opportunities, gives opportunities for people like me to stand and stand for high office. And so when you get those opportunities, somebody like me should stand up and say, look, here's an opportunity where I can serve the people of London.
Mr. Gulati, before winding up, let me sum up what have you said in the interview. You have said that you are a Hindu, but you will take everyone along with you, be it of any religion, caste, creed, or sex. You have said that you are going to abolish this traffic system on the very first day in your office. Also, you will look upon the student visas, not only the student visas, but visas for the entire Indians, so that there are more communications between UK and India. Am I right?
You're very correct.
Mr. Gulati, thank you very much for talking to me.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me today.
Please subscribe to our channel Roportaj and press the bell icon to remain updated.